Yo, YouTube, GK back. I know it's been a while, but we're going to recap Arc 2, and I'm going to do it relatively quickly as well. These are going to be broad strokes, overview of what transpired in this arc as a whole. We learned that names really tend to switch. So Bria, Vaus, the Lucera statues, these are characters whose names have kind of been erased from history, or they assume new names. So it's very hard to keep track of all of that. I just want to throw that out there because I will definitely make mistakes, even though I'm trying to look at notes and do all of that. It's hard. So let's start with just Titus and Yuna for a second. So they get on the island. Titus dies by the bomb. Now, the bomb makes perfect sense now. I don't know if you guys think it makes sense, but it does. Throughout the story, they know the bombs don't look the right and look the same, and they're very confusing, and it works on Titus, and he dies. The thing to keep in mind is that Titus is a dream of the faith. The other thing is that our characters Vaus and Kush, they recall, and Infano came back. Those people from that old Xanarkin are still alive and is unsent. But there's two realities, basically, or two universes that coincide in this Spira. Now, it's not totally made clear yet in this arc if they're running simultaneously with each other, because the summoners, Bavel changed things, and Bria tells us that they're very good at modifying the rules of things. So it's the same thing with our reality, that whatever we perceive is now our reality. Well, in reality, summoners are way stronger than Yevon proposed them to be. Actually, Yevon limited summoners' powers to that of only calling an Aeon, and thus prayer and faith, injecting power into that Aeon and making it stronger. It's when, in fact, that summoners aren't really limited to just that strict role of that. They can summon islands, just like Vaus did. And the old like spirit type of goddess who helped Yuna give her power. Yuna has now been touched and transferred a new method and a new way to use Aeon cores. Now, Aeon cores, you have to change your definition of the word Aeon. It is not just your Valiphors, Ifrits, and all of them. It is actually a way in which your fireflies are manipulated throughout the world. Like, you can summon a boat, right, and that boat can ride. You just have to have a clear picture of what you're bringing back. That becomes very difficult with a character like Titus, because Titus is a dream of the faith. So therefore, his whole life, in theory and concept, has been recreated by someone else anyway. So when Yuna brings him back, we can imagine the kind of trouble we might face in this final arc, right? Because he's not technically the denizen of Spira, who was alive in Spira and got brought back by the normal means, quote unquote, if that's normal to you. So those are some things to keep in mind with Yuna and Titus. So she is definitely withdrawn from Titus because she, as the summoner, must be confident in her recollections of a character, of a person or a thing she wants to bring back. If she falters in any way to how that person or thing is, that thing will change because it's summoned by her, beckoned, if you will, right? Beckon's the other word we learn here that's important. You beckon something, you call it, right? It's like a summoning in literal English sense of definitions, but it implies a little more meaning, beckon especially, and as well as summon. You put faith into something. So that's something we really learned and understand why Yuna feels these ways towards Titus. And a lot of the critics and other people who might have talked about this really just say, oh, they don't understand why she's suddenly not in love with him anymore. That's not the debate. The debate is does she know him the way he is really, or does she just know a version of him? Because it boils down to he is in itself a summon of something else. They mentioned that it took a lot of Aeon cores to recreate Spira, and it wasn't just those faith, right? It wasn't just the Aeons keeping that dream alive from our game. It was actually the Infanals and the Vauses and the Kush and all of them who actually were doing a lot of it as well. Something they don't really touch upon in this arc so much are these old lord and goddesses, which I'm really more interested about too, because we heard the Bavel Guard saying that they were all fictitious anyway, but that could just be a lie. Bavel's leader at the time feared the fact that before the Al-Bedals, which is what they were called because they were made by a guy named Alib, and Bedals was what they were called, right? So Bavel just shortened the name. It was a joke, like Al-Bed. It was easier to say, and they're very good at those kind of things. That they're just machines, and Shinra is just a boy, and he gets kicked in the gut by Bria. He gets tricked, and I wasn't totally convinced that Shinra would get tricked like that, but I can see why his allure to this information that nobody else would know except for this guy who's lived 1,000 years, why he would try to believe him. And he is still just a kid, but he says he's not a kid. So I'm interested to see Shinra's face, because I have a feeling that Shinra's face is really going to tell a story about the Bedals as a whole, and it's so wondrous. We get the answer as to why the Al-Bed can't make Machina, because there are 3 old school Bedals. There's the hierarchy ones, that like hierarchy of them. There's the ones who can build, the ones who can use magic decently and proficient, and then our Al-Bed, which are descendants of the workers, right? They only know how to use it. They can't do magic and they can't build. All they know how to do is work and use the machines. Very, very efficiently though. So Bavel couldn't outright ban Bedals, because now Bavel has competition. They have machines that can create fire. The example they use is that the only way to create fire back in pre-Machina War time, right? This is a time period that we don't know really much about. What happened before the Machina War? How was life like? And we know that fire could have only been created by the summoners, by the mages, and Bria wasn't one of those assassin mages. Now, it's unclear as to who had assassin mages, what side. I believe they both had a form of that, but Bavel went technological and Xanarkin didn't. So there are some confusing things that I will definitely tie up and get a complete, really good rundown for you all after the Arc 3, after I have all of the information, because I've played Final Fantasy X and X2 numerous times, even the last mission and the audio drama. So I am a scholar in those games, honestly. It's just this story itself is the missing link into tying everything and everything making sense again, and then giving you that video of what in X3 is really most enticing. I have half a notebook full of notes from just X2 alone, so I'm really excited. And it kind of sucks that we have the descendants of the lowest class of Bedals, right? So there are people in this world for 1,000 years who roamed Spira, who came back and forth, like Bria, who had to assume new identities every few hundred years, that know this history, but his memory is shoddy. And so is Infanals and Valsis, right? Valsis seems to be our main villain almost, because he's holding a grudge against the summoners of the time, that they're the ones who made them lose the war, and someone says, oh, that's how you remember history, as if to say that's not actually what happened. So there's a lot of that going on as well. You got to remember 1,000 years time. All of this is made sense by the character Mihen, right? Or not Mihen, Machine, or whatever his name is, the dude with the beard who tells all the stories in the games. He is literally the best example, as he says, oh, he forgets this or forgets that. Well, but he's still alive somewhere, right? Because he didn't end his journey in Final Fantasy X2. He wasn't sent. And honestly, we didn't see like Arn gets sent, right? I mean, it's implied, kinda. But there are a lot of things that we can still see. I'm just loving the story, man. I just like the way it's done. I like the mature aspects of it, and I like the confusing nature of it. It really does. My suggestion to you is to read it, hopefully listen to it getting read to you as well, and then read it again. It's a novella. It's short and a quick read, especially the way it's formatted and set up. I'm just always learning new things, and there isn't another game out there that can provide me with this much content and this much story, over this long of a time, honestly. That's kind of our recap for now. Oh yeah, Waka, Lulu, Payne, and all them are getting along. They're working differently. It's just, I just love it. But I just wanted to bring something new to you guys. I know I've been inconsistent. I did get a new job. I'm a teacher, so I do work during the days. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14. Got into raiding. There's these Pagos and Pyros and stuff. So I still have a lot to do in that, but not that much anymore. But Final Fantasy 15's update just dropped, and what I seriously want to do is a lore through. So I'm not going to post like the mission, even though I'm going to do it, the new crossover with 14. I'm going to do that, and enjoy that myself. But what I'm going to do is Comrades, a lore through on Comrades. Now, I've beaten the base game, and I'll talk about this in the video I post later today with Comrades during the lore through. But it's for the people who happen to catch this and would like to see that. I'm going to do a lore through. We're going to talk about the characters, the settings, the scenes, the actual fights, what's going on, and really delve into that. So it'll be a playthrough. I'm hoping every other day. So I'll play it. I'm not going to stream it because I want to make it of an actual video, even though I'm not going to cut anything, right? So I'm going to play in chunks. So I'll do like an hour and a half or something, because I know the queue times will be good because it just came out. And do it that way, because I don't want to make content that's redundant and oversaturated, because you're gonna have your playthroughs, you're gonna have your walkthroughs, but I'm really gonna dedicate a lot of it to the lore of the game, because I think Final Fantasy 15's lore is very, very rich and very smart. It is very nuanced. I did a Doom Train video on how Doom Train's actually in the game, and I think those who saw the video could actually feel where I was going with it, and really kind of could see the fact that this game is that nuanced. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I'll put it at the end of this video for you maybe to watch. I know this isn't a video that doesn't get a lot of views as well as all the other ones. So I doubt it's going to reach a lot of people, but for those who are watching, or those people who are new and have just caught up, we are going to finish this novella this week. I've efficiently and newly found a way to get those voice actors in and recorded. So now we can do multiple chapters at a time, streamlined, and without the need and the best quality I can get. So I'm very happy about that, and I hope you are too. So sit back, enjoy. I know the backgrounds and the music I'm using, over and over. It's because I want you to get the feel that this is something you can just listen to, and you don't have to read, and you don't have to watch necessarily. Like, you can run it in the background while doing something else, and nothing's gonna distract you or detract from the actual words. I know the words get mispronounced a lot, but it's a lot faster than me reading it. And when the computer messes up, it doesn't stop or talk extra like I tend to do. So I'm GK. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. Now, if you have questions or anything, throw them in the comments. I'm going to try to answer. And yeah, that's really it. So I'll catch you later.